What's happening with Pastor T.D. Jakes right now has ignited conversations across the church world, captivated mainstream media, and prompted millions of his followers to ask pressing questions. Headlines are breaking at an unprecedented pace. Social media is buzzing with speculation, and discussions about his ministry, health, and leadership are trending globally. Some observers call this a storm, a moment of uncertainty and tension, but others see it as a critical turning point for one of the most influential pastors in America. The stakes are high because T.D. Jakes is far more than a preacher. He is a cultural figure, a spiritual father, and a symbol of faith-driven leadership whose influence extends well beyond his Dallas megachurch. For decades, T.D. Jakes has shaped the conversation around faith, leadership, and personal development. Known worldwide for his electrifying sermons, best-selling books, blockbuster conferences, and media productions, he has crafted a legacy as both a spiritual guide and cultural influencer. But today, whispers about his health, questions about succession, and scrutiny over his expansive ministry empire have combined to create a story that is capturing the world's attention. Followers and critics alike are weighing in, debating what this means for his ministry, his family, and the future of the Potter's House. A legacy built from humble beginnings. To understand the gravity of the current headlines, it's essential to step back and examine the life and ministry of Thomas Dexter Jakes. Born in 1957 in South Charleston, West Virginia, T.D. Jakes grew up facing hardship and adversity. His childhood was marked by economic struggle and limited resources, experiences that he has often described as formative in shaping his resilience and empathy. Through those early years, faith became more than a belief system. It was a lifeline. By the time he entered ministry, Jakes had already developed a reputation as a preacher, capable of connecting deeply with people's struggles and translating those experiences into messages of hope, perseverance, and transformation. His rise from a small storefront church in West Virginia to founding one of the largest and most influential megachurches in America is a story of determination, vision, and strategic planning. The Potter's House in Dallas, Texas, now hosts over 30,000 members, with millions more tuning in online globally. His sermons are broadcast internationally, translated into multiple languages, and his conferences, like Woman, Thou Art Loosed and Megafest, draw audiences in the tens of thousands. Beyond preaching, Jakes has authored New York Times bestsellers, produced films, and consulted with global leaders, making him a force whose reach spans faith, culture, business, and media. The spark of concern. Despite decades of consistent public ministry, subtle signs of change began to draw attention. Followers noticed differences in his stage presence, a slower pace during sermons, longer pauses, and moments of visible fatigue that were not characteristic of the energetic, commanding figure they had come to expect. Observers, fans, and even media outlets began speculating about his health. While no official statement confirmed any medical issues, the combination of reduced travel, fewer appearances, and the careful pacing in his recent public engagements fueled a wave of curiosity and concern. The whispers were amplified by social media, where followers dissected every clip, compared past sermons with current appearances, and debated what the signs might indicate. Comments and posts ranged from heartfelt prayers to theories about leadership transitions. The intensity of this scrutiny underscores the deep personal connection many feel toward T.D. Jakes. For millions, he is not simply a preacher, he is a mentor, a guide, and a source of hope through life's challenges. Leadership, legacy, and succession. Alongside concerns about health, discussions about leadership succession intensified. T.D. Jakes has led the Potter's House since 1996, transforming it into a global ministry. But questions arose. Who will carry the mantle when Jakes eventually steps back? Sarah Jakes Roberts, his daughter, has increasingly assumed prominent responsibilities, including leading sermons, mentoring youth, and guiding emerging leaders. Through her conferences, books, and digital platforms, she has cultivated her own following while honouring her father's legacy. The potential transition raises critical questions about continuity, influence, and adaptation. While many celebrate Sarah's rise as a seamless passing of the torch, some members and critics wonder whether the transition will face challenges. Internal dynamics, generational differences, and the weight of sustaining a global ministry create complex considerations for succession planning. T.D. Jakes' strategic approach appears to involve empowering others within the church's leadership structure while maintaining his spiritual guidance, a method that balances continuity with innovation. The megachurch model and financial scrutiny. T.D. Jakes' influence extends beyond the pulpit into large-scale enterprises, including publishing, film production, real estate, and community initiatives. These ventures, while amplifying his cultural footprint, also invite scrutiny. Critics question the scale of financial operations under the umbrella of a church ministry, debating the balance between spiritual service and organizational enterprise. Though no evidence suggests misconduct, public perception and media framing magnify these debates, particularly during times when his health or presence in leadership is under discussion. Cultural influence and controversy. In addition to leadership and finances, T.D. Jakes' commentary on social issues has placed him at the centre of cultural debates. He has spoken openly on race, family, gender roles, and leadership, sometimes drawing praise for courage and inclusivity, and at other times, criticism for perceived ambiguity or compromise. In an era of heightened public scrutiny, even a single statement can spark widespread conversation online. His influence in shaping discourse on these issues adds another layer of complexity to the current narrative surrounding him. The family factor. Family dynamics are central to understanding both his influence and the ongoing discussion. Sarah Jakes Roberts' prominence highlights generational continuity while raising questions about balance, authority, and the future of the church. Her growing leadership role demonstrates T.D. Jakes' foresight in mentorship and succession. Yet the public naturally wonders how the ministry will function in his eventual absence. The global conversation. When T.D. Jakes makes headlines, the ripple effect is immediate. Mainstream media, faith-based outlets, and digital platforms amplify every development. Supporters respond with prayer and encouragement. Critics raise questions of accountability, and observers outside the church world analyze what it reveals about leadership, succession, and the pressures of guiding a megachurch. His story has become a lens through which broader conversations about ministry, resilience, and organizational sustainability are occurring. Strategic adaptation, shaping the future with intention. Behind the public headlines and media speculation, Bishop T.D. Jakes is not merely responding to events. He is actively shaping the next chapter of his ministry with remarkable intentionality. Over decades of leadership, Jakes has demonstrated an extraordinary ability to balance vision with execution, influence with practicality, and inspiration with operational strategy. The current period of transition at the Potter's House is a clear example of that approach, subtle, deliberate, and calculated to ensure that his ministry continues to thrive long after he steps back from the front lines. One of the most visible aspects of this adaptation is the delegation of responsibilities across trusted leaders. For years, Bishop Jakes served as the central figure in nearly every aspect of the ministry, from preaching and teaching to administrative oversight and media initiatives. Today, however, there is a discernible shift in the way decisions are made and responsibilities are distributed. Senior pastors, associate leaders, and family members, such as Sarah Jakes Roberts, are stepping into larger roles, carrying the torch on programs, conferences, and initiatives that once depended heavily on Jakes' direct involvement. This isn't just delegation for convenience, it is a strategic cultivation of leadership capacity. By intentionally empowering others, Jakes ensures that the ministry is not dependent on a single individual and that its vision can expand sustainably while remaining rooted in the values he established decades ago. Another critical component of this strategic adaptation is Jakes' attention to personal pacing. Leaders who have carried the weight of global influence for decades understand that burnout, fatigue, and overextension can threaten both personal well-being and organizational stability. By adjusting his schedule, moderating travel, and carefully selecting public engagements, Jakes is modeling a principle he has long preached. Stewardship of one's own life is inseparable from the stewardship of a mission. His visible restraint in certain areas is not a sign of withdrawal. Rather, it is a demonstration of deliberate self-management designed to preserve both his health and the continuity of the ministry. Beyond individual delegation and personal pacing, Bishop Jakes is also orchestrating structural evolution at the Potter's House. Megachurches are complex ecosystems, blending spiritual leadership, media outreach, educational initiatives, and community programs. Sustaining such a multifaceted organization requires foresight. By creating systems, empowering rising leaders, and nurturing the next generation of ministry voices, Jakes is not merely responding to current demands. He is designing a framework that allows the church to thrive for years to come. This approach reflects a deep understanding that legacies are sustained not through charisma alone, but through intentional cultivation of talent, culture, and operational resilience. Finally, this period of strategic adaptation reflects a broader lesson in leadership. The ability to pivot, delegate, and plan for the long term is itself a mark of strength. Bishop Jakes' example illustrates that influence is most enduring when it is layered across generations and reinforced through structures that outlast any one individual. By combining vision, mentorship, and operational foresight, he is ensuring that the Potter's House remains a beacon of faith, culture, and impact, not just for today, but for decades to come. Looking ahead, transition, legacy, and leadership. The headlines, speculation, and online chatter surrounding Bishop T.D. Jakes are only the tip of the iceberg. What is unfolding at the Potter's House represents far more than curiosity or rumour. It marks a pivotal moment in the evolution of one of the world's most influential ministries. Over the past several years, subtle changes in Jakes' public appearances, travel schedule, and ministry involvement have hinted at a deliberate and intentional period of transition. While observers may interpret this as a temporary pause or a response to personal health, it is equally a demonstration of strategic foresight. This phase is as much about preparing the next generation of leaders, mentoring emerging voices, and empowering trusted partners as it is about the presence of one individual. Leadership, as Bishop Jakes' story makes clear, is defined not solely by visibility, but by vision and the ability to equip others to carry forward a mission. The evolving landscape at the Potter's House offers a blueprint for modern ministry leadership. Sarah Jakes Roberts, T.D. Jakes' daughter, is increasingly taking on prominent responsibilities, from delivering sermons to leading initiatives that engage youth, women, and broader congregational audiences. Her emergence is not a replacement of her father's influence, but rather a natural expansion of it, ensuring that the ministry's vision extends beyond a single lifetime. For long-time followers, this handoff is both reassuring and inspiring. It signals that Bishop Jakes' years of mentorship and strategic leadership have been intentional, aimed at creating a resilient and sustainable organizational structure. Empowering others does not diminish the impact of a leader. Instead, it magnifies it. allowing the vision to grow even as the founder steps into a new rhythm of guidance, reflection, and personal focus. At the heart of this period is a broader lesson about the nature of leadership itself. Even figures as iconic as Bishop Jakes are not immune to the demands of decades-long ministry, the physical toll of global influence, and the emotional weight of leading millions. His example underscores that true leadership balances presence with prudence, intensity with rest, and authority with empowerment. The current transition illustrates how carefully planned succession, mentorship, and adaptability ensure that a ministry's influence does not wane with the founder's reduced visibility. This moment at the Potter's House is also a mirror reflecting wider truths about faith, culture, and organizational stewardship. It reminds followers, leaders, and observers alike that legacy is not only what one builds, but also what one nurtures in others. T.D. Jakes' story today emphasizes that influence is most enduring when it is shared, when leadership is layered, and when the mission is protected through thoughtful planning rather than concentrated solely in one individual.